Hello, my friends from ESL51. This is Professor Russo, and this video is designed to give you a little bit of help on a couple of concepts so that you can be prepared to stay on track with our snow day. One of the first things you'll see is that I am in our Blackboard course, and I'm in the assignments section. So you want to go to Blackboard and click assignments that you can get here. There is now, past our second summary response practice paragraph, we've got the summary response speed practice number 2. This is similar to what you did in class on Wednesday with Professor Doheny. Because we were going to be having a timed writing coming up soon next Wednesday, I want you all to have a chance to practice this. So you've got two choices of the articles, either New Life in U.S. no longer means new name, or Superman is the ultimate American hero. What I want you to do is to set a timer, give yourself just 25 minutes to do two things. First, the first paragraph of a summary response essay, so that's your intro with thesis and the 3 topic sentences. So what you should do is get the article ready to go, and as soon as you have the article in front of you, don't do any extra rereading before you start your timer. Just have the article in front of you. Set your timer for 25 minutes and see how far you can get. It's worth 5 points just for submitting it, so it's not like you're going to get a bad grade or anything if you have some problems. It's just a chance to practice. And this way on Monday, I can give you more feedback on it and let you know how are you doing with your intro and thesis, how are you doing with your topic sentences, because that's about how fast you need to go to make sure that you do the summary response essay well. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you is that because of our snow day, there of course are going to be a few changes to the syllabus. So if you're on the syllabus tab, you'll see that I've got the updated schedule, and there's a couple of changes. Firstly, our grammar quiz is going to be on Monday, of course. You're going to be getting back your summary response essay comments via email, so be sure you're checking your email. They are all coming in. This is because you're still going to need to turn the final in. I have your 2 drafts, of course, so you don't need to turn those in, but you will need to bring in the printed version of the final and submit the final to Blackboard. So we're going to be having that grammar quiz first thing. We're not going to really have time to review, so make sure that you come ready to go. If you have any questions on the review packets that I gave you guys on Monday, be sure you ask. And then the other thing you can see is that we've also changed our time for our summary response essay that's timed, number 1. So that's going to be on Wednesday. So we're bumping back the quiz one day, so we bump back the timed essay one day. I'm kind of sorry about that because that makes next week kind of tough. There's 2 tests in a row, but we'll have some time on Monday to practice because I'm going to make grammar quiz 2 a little bit shorter, so you should be able to get it done in about 30 minutes so that we can still have a lot of the class time to practice. Now, there was one more concept I want to go over, and that is this concept called showing, not telling writing. I'm going to be putting this into our class presentations folder so that you can revisit it. So showing versus telling writing is a concept that is really important whenever we are trying to develop a good essay. For your summary response essays, you're developing your ideas by giving examples from your life. So I have 2 examples here. Showing writing is whenever we try to make it so that we can really, very clearly see what's going on in a situation. So in this first one, if I read this out loud, my older sister Kimmy and I are as different as people could be. For example, Kimmy is a really girly girl, whereas I am much more laid back. Kimmy and I have different interests as well. I like to read very different things than Kimmy, such as magazines on world politics and travel abroad, and novels from every era of history and every culture. Kimmy likes to read more modern romance novels and women's magazines. We live in different types of places. I live in an apartment near a very big city, but she has a house in the suburbs. We live in 2 different states. Our friends are not at all like either. If you gave us a chance to go on vacation, we would never pick the same place. This is an example of what we would call telling writing. Because what I'm doing is I'm telling a long list of details. Kimmy does this, I do that, and it's just very, very broad details. But I'm trying to tell you our whole life. Down here, let me show you what a showing example would be. Showing is whenever we pick out one specific example or story. So for some of you in your summary response essay drafts, I said, can you be more specific? And that meant I wanted you to tell me a story about one specific time that the problem happened. As an example of showing writing, you can remember when we looked at Timothy's essay and he described the way that his specific friends dealt with some of the problems that Suki Kim described in her article. So if you were to read this one, you can see that I picked one specific story to illustrate this idea. So I start by saying, my mom likes to joke that maybe my older sister Kimmy or I somehow got mixed up with another baby at the hospital because we're so very different from each other. 4 years ago, for instance, Kimmy came to visit me while I was teaching in Hungary. As the cab pulled up, I watched her begin unloading bags. A huge, person-sized rolling suitcase hit my apartment stoop, and next came a large wheeled duffel. A carry-on bag landed on top, stuffed so full the seams were about to split. Finally, the cab driver handed her a makeup case that looked as if it could hold a whole drugstore's worth of mascara and lipstick. She was staying a week. Inside my studio, I had exactly one old hiking backpack, which had been used to carry all of my needed belongings to Budapest. I was staying a year. Kimmy tottered across the old Soviet-era cobblestones in her shiny black heels and tight fuchsia coat, and I crossed sure-footedly in my dirty, faded red sneakers and stretched-out hooded sweatshirt to hug her. Want to grab a beer? I asked as soon as we deposited her piles. Beer, she wrinkled her nose in distaste. Isn't there somewhere in Russia that serves a Cosmo? We're in Hungary, I corrected. Right, which is on the continent of Russia, she said. I sighed. I considered throwing my copy of The Economist at her, but it seemed too late for that. So it's one really specific story, but instead of just saying we're different, it shows it by explaining all these small differences in really clear details. Because we can picture a person wearing, a tight coat and tight heels versus somebody who's wearing jeans and sneakers and that type of stuff. So, writing that shows instead of tells focuses on one specific example and will tell it in all its details. You remember a story from your experience, something you observed, or a specific moment in time that illustrates your point. You can use a lot of sensory details. That means you describe what you saw, heard, felt, even touched or tasted. And it tries to make the reader feel like they're experiencing what you experienced. Think about telling a funny story to a friend. You go slowly through every detail so they see why it was so funny. It's the same thing you want to do with showing writing. So if you want to get a little bit more practice with this, you're welcome to do one of these practices. We were going to do this in class and then share them as a group, so I'd encourage you to do one and bring it to class on Monday, and I'm happy to give some feedback and we can share it with the class. So I'm going to put this, showing versus telling, it's going to go into our class presentations folder so that you can view it and look at it again. So just as that reminder, you're going to check your email so that you can get your summary response comments. And then you're going to go to assignments and you're going to do this summary response speed practice. You can just submit it right here on Blackboard. You don't need to do anything. You can just open up this little box right here and it lets you write out the submission. So you can write your intro paragraph, your topic sentences, and all you need to do is click submit, and that way I'll be able to view it and give you some feedback for Monday. Okay, everybody, I hope you stay safe in the snow.